Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Natasha and I do vlogs all around the Smokies, kind of my daily life. I live here, so I like to kind of take you guys along in my adventures as a transplant. However, today's video is a little bit different. As you can see, I'm inside my home. Hurricane Helene has officially come to the area. It has been downgraded to a tropical storm, and this has caused a lot of destruction, particularly for the town of Newport, which is not too far from this area, and it has catastrophically devastated the entire area. So, however, we are fine here. I have decided, me and my family, to stay home and kind of hunker in, watch movies and cook foods. And but the town of Newport really needs help. There are a lot of resources, and this is a time you really see communities gather together, and it's been just so overpowering and incredible to see all of these small town businesses and small mom and pop businesses in and around Newport coming together and donating all of their resources, be it cooking, donating their time, their efforts, their money, whatever they have available to those in need. I will, in this video, in the description, make a list of all of the resources that I know of. We do have a friend that lives in the Newport area that has been affected and has been sharing different resources that you can take advantage of if you have been affected as well. So those will be in the description below. So today I decided to make my favorite chili recipe. It's starting to feel like fall here, and chili is one of my favorite, if not my favorite meal to make. I sometimes make it in the crock pot. Today I'm gonna make it in the pot, but it's gonna be the same recipe. So I wanted to kind of share it with you guys. Hopefully you enjoy this. So I've changed this recipe around a few different times depending on what we like and different things that I want to try. And but it always comes out really good. So first things first, I have some vegetables here that I've already washed that I'm going to kind of cut up. Ooh, if I don't cut my finger first, right? And get them ready to cook. I'm actually going to get a better knife, this one. So, just going to chop up. First thing I have here is a red bell pepper, as you can see. And take the seeds out. Let me know if you have a favorite chili, and if you have a variation of a favorite family chili, or something that you love adding in it. I'd love to hear your recipe. This is just one that we all like, and it's always worked really well. So, kind of feel like don't change it too much, right? If you know it's a good thing. Yeah, this is a better knife. Having a sharp knife really helps cut whatever it is that you're cutting. I feel like the duller knives are the ones that you'll cut yourself on. Okay, so I'm gonna turn on my pot. A Dutch kind of cast iron pot that I like to use for my chilies. Like I said, sometimes I will put it in a crock pot, but today we're gonna have this for dinner. So if I was doing this overnight, I'll throw it all in a crock pot and it works just as well. This recipe is just perfect. Okay, so I got the bell pepper all nice and chopped up. Let me throw this away. And then I like to add a little bit of heat. One medium jalapeno pepper. Be careful when you're chopping these. I had the unfortunate experience once when I was cutting these. I was itching my nose and I got too close to my eye. Oh my goodness, that hurt. So I'm gonna wash off these seeds, and I will wash them off just slightly, not too much, because I do add a little bit just to keep the heat in there, because I do think, I could be wrong, but I think the heat comes from the seeds. I think the seeds is what makes it really hot. So kind of wash those off. And same way, I'm going to chop it like I did with the bell peppers. The rain has stopped, but it's very gloomy. And it just feels like one of those days you want to cozy up in, watch some football, or watch a good movie. So that's That's what's happening today. Okay, so then I have 2 red onions. I like adding red onions to my chili. So before we do that, I'm gonna check my pot here. I'm gonna add some olive oil. Just kind of drizzle in there. I don't really measure that kind of stuff. And then we're going to take my cutting board with my bell pepper and my jalapeno, and we're gonna just toss that in. Ooh, I can hear it start sizzling, and the goodness is gonna start smelling really good. And then I have my 2 onions, and we're gonna chop those. I probably do mine a different way, but I cut the ends first, and then I just kind of peel the outside shell, and it makes it easier to dice after. I've thought about getting one of those chopping contraptions, like one of those tools what'll chop your onion. I haven't, because personally I feel that it's just another gadget to have around the house, and by the time I get that out and then use it, it's just another thing to wash, where I could just chop it up with my knife and it is just as good. This pot of chili will last in my house about 4 days. So we'll have this for lunch. We'll have it for dinner today and for lunch tomorrow. Actually, it'll last about 2 to 3 days, if I'm being honest. We'll have it for lunch, and then, yeah, it'll probably be lunch 2 days and today dinner. So 1 more onion. Okay, let's go ahead and chop the second onion. So every time I wear contacts and I'm chopping onion, it doesn't bother my eyes, but I can start to feel it right now in my nose. So it's like going up my nasal passage, but my eyes are okay. If I wear my glasses, oh, yeah. I have seen those goggles where you can wear them and chop onions. They look silly. Don't think I'll be doing that. Okay, so there it is, my second onion. So let's go ahead and add that in. So we're gonna leave that right there. Let me get I got onion on my face. Let me get a spoon. Okay, so here's what it looks like, kind of all mixed together. And it looks like a lot right now, but it's going to mix in and cook in, and the onions are gonna get all nice and translucent, and it will be perfect. So we'll let this cook for about 10-15 minutes or so, and then we'll be back. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of clean up. My mom always taught me to clean up as I go, as I'm cooking, because then you're not left with a huge mess when you're done. You can just kind of enjoy the food. So I'm gonna throw this all away. Okay. So we'll kind of let that cook for a little bit and then come back in about 10 minutes and I'll show you what it looks like. We are back and my kitchen's starting to smell amazing. So I did add off camera, I added some garlic in there too, because whenever I add onion, I feel like you have to add garlic too. It's like its little brother. So I added that. It is looking really good, and I am about to add the ground turkey that I have here. I'll show you guys. So as I mentioned earlier, I've made different variations of this. I've made it with beef, and I've made it with turkey. I've also made it with ground chicken. All of them are very good. So if you prefer beef, you can certainly use beef for this recipe. I am using turkey today. I decided to get a leaner cut, the 93%. Honestly, if you are looking to cut some fat out of your diet or trying to cut some calories, this is a great option. I prefer the turkey even over the chicken. It just has more flavor to me, and I can season it to how I like it. And truly, the 93%, even though it has the low fat, the combination of the oils that I use and all of the different seasonings in there, you can't tell. It's so flavorful, I promise. So I have about 1.5 pounds of ground turkey. I like to use for this recipe between 1 pound of 2 pounds. 2 pounds is ideal, but I couldn't find one in my store, so this will do just fine. So I'm gonna add this in next. So I'm just gonna add the entire turkey right in there. Turkey kind of mashes up really well and crumbles in really easily. So I like to kind of move it around a little bit before it kind of sticks to the bottom, because especially with the 93%, it could stick when you first put it in. So now, oh, this is gonna be really good. So I'm gonna kind of mix it up a little bit. I'm gonna add some chili powder next. This is another thing that I don't really measure. I just kind of add it in, and sometimes I'll add it in at the end depending on taste. So I just kind of sprinkle it in there, and then I mix it some more. I wish you could smell how good it smells in here. So now I'm gonna add some salt. And then salt's another thing I don't measure, but at the end, when I test the chili for taste, I will taste it then, and I could add more depending on how that is. So now I'm gonna let this cook for about 5 minutes or so, 5 to 6 minutes, to get the turkey nice and cooked, and then we'll come back and add rest of the ingredients. And we're back, and you can see that the turkey is almost all cooked through in there, but it's kind of where we want it to look like. And now we're ready to add the rest of the ingredients. Okay, so I have some cans here in front of me. I already opened them just to kind of prep them to add them into the pot. And what I'm going to add next are 3 diced tomatoes. I just got 3 cans, 14.5 ounce cans of diced tomatoes. I do like to get the fire roasted ones. Again, my grocery store didn't have any, so we just went with the regular ones. I'm gonna add those right in there. And then I do like to mix my beans, so I got a can of pinto beans and a can of black beans. So we're gonna add those both in. And then last but not least, I like to add a can of refried beans. I typically get the fat-free refried beans, so and it tastes just fine, but you can get whichever you prefer. And I add that right in there. Kind of mixes in, adds really good flavor and texture, I find. So I'm gonna add that in, and then mix it all up. Okay, so now the pot is getting pretty full. We got all of these yummy ingredients in here. It will go down a little bit as it mixes and cooks in there, and all the flavors kind of cook with each other. Oh, I forgot one last ingredient. Oh my gosh. This is something that I recently added, and I think it adds so much flavor to the chili. So let me grab that, and it's in my freezer. Okay, so one of the things that I recently added is I added to my chili is a bag of frozen corn. Oh, it just adds a little bit of sweetness, especially with the kick of the jalapeno. It just so good. And it adds a little bit of color to the chili too. So we're gonna mix this all in a little bit more. So we add everything in there, and then we're just gonna kind of let it sit in there and cook and just kind of marinate all the flavors together. What we're gonna do, we're gonna close it kind of just partially like that, and just let it cook together, and we'll check on it in about 45 minutes. Decided to come back and just kind of show you the update on the chili. So we're about 10 minutes in of it cooking, and you can see it's a little bit soupier. So that's kind of how we like it. I like in the mixture of soupy but also thick, and I find that whenever I do cook chili, it gets more soupy because of the tomatoes and everything else I include in there, because it has a lot of liquid. So I feel the addition of refried beans really kind of thickens it up once it's all done, and it really adds nice texture, and it's just so yummy. So we're gonna let this cook for another half hour, and then we should be ready to eat. I'm hungry. So I decided to kind of step outside. My chili is cooking in there safely, but to kind of show you my backyard, because with all of the wind and the rain that we've had, we needed the rain in the area, really needed the rain for all of the beautiful waterfalls and the rivers. but also the grass. My grass was really feeling dry for a while. So you can see my grass is kind of growing in. It needs a cut. Oh, it's starting to rain again. This is what we've been dealing with. A lot of on and off rains, which to me, as a transplant to the area, I always tell people it rarely rains, and I got used to that. And this has been very unusual with the hurricane, with Hurricane Helene bringing in all of this rain. It's starting to rain again. So we're gonna go inside. Let's go check on the chili. Okay, so we are about at the final countdown for the chili. So about 10 minutes left, and let's check it out. Oh, yes, it looks exactly the way we want it to look. So let me give it a good stir so we can see what it looks like in there. Oh my goodness, this looks so yummy. Perfect day for chili and staying in. Another thing too is this heats up very well. So I mentioned that we're gonna have some lunches here with this. It heats up very, very well, so that's nice. I feel that the next day it's even better with all the flavors in there, marinating together and then heating it up the next day. It's so delicious. It's one of those foods. I feel like chili is one of those foods that gets better the next day. And there we go. I know a lot of people add sour cream to their chili. That's kind of the typical, and it's delicious. But if you want something that's lower calorie, lower fat, and high protein, this is a substitution that I would really recommend. So I love Greek yogurt. I get this fat-free one. This is probably one of my favorite if you have a Kirkland or a Costco by you. I like the Kirkland brand. I get the Greek non-fat yogurt, and I'm telling you, I substitute Greek yogurt for everything that I would use sour cream for. So that would include putting it on top of my chili. So I put about a dollop, about a tablespoon. I'll put about 2 tablespoons. So that's a lot of extra protein there. I don't know, Chad, do you want sour cream or... He sometimes likes sour cream, so we kind of rotate it out. Do you want sour cream or yogurt? Oh, he's gonna go for the yogurt too. But I have tricked him, and I do put yogurt sometimes, and you can't tell the difference. You really can't. I think a lot of the foods that we don't eat have to do with like mindset, you know? I think it tastes great. So I put a little bit in there, and then I'm gonna top it off finally, lastly, with some shredded cheese, a little bit on top. And sometimes I'll add a little bit of guacamole on there and some fresh jalapenos, but I cut the jalapenos this time in it. So there we go. So there it is, the finished product. It is so yummy. I'm ready to eat. And you can see it's a little bit liquidy. It's very hot. I just pulled it out of obviously the stove. So it does thicken up. So if you like it a little bit thicker, I recommend letting it sit for a little bit before you add your toppings. But for me, we're hungry, so we're definitely gonna dig in now. And I guess the cook always has to have the first bite. So while I let it cook during that 45 minutes, I taste it throughout for salt, just to make sure it has enough seasoning and everything. It's delicious. This is so good. Like I said, I've made this a lot of times. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you make this recipe, let me know what you thought or anything that you would change. I have added okra in the past. I've added different things, so feel free to play with it. And if you do make it, let me know in the comments below and what you thought. And I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing for more vlogs in the area. I know this was a different video for me. I'm inside, but I look forward to, once this storm passes and it stops raining, going outside and taking you along on my adventures. So thank you again for watching, and remember, it is not the same without you.